after a long while since the last reaction video, but we got JxmmyHighRoller. We are 9 days late. It's been a minute. He is the future of basketball.
What you're about to witness was one of the rarest occurrences to happen on an NBA court.
2 seconds. The clock reset. Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, Shaq hit in a three.
Unbelievable. 19 points in the quarter for O'Neal. Get off the track. Here comes Shaq.
A buzzer-beating 30-footer from Shaquille O'Neal. An otherwise
awesome
awesome shot,
What's the
but
word,
in this
boy?
particular case, it was an absolute abnormality. Because throughout Shaq's 19-year career, he made 11,330 shots. The one you just watched was the one and only three-pointer. But this was back in 1996, when big men lived in the paint, three-pointers being virtually off-limits for them. Out of the 41 active 7-footers in the league that season,
Discord?
12 of
Yeah,
them
in a bit.
hit
Hold
at
up.
least a
Let me
single
react to this
three-pointer.
shit real
Only
quick.
7
And then we
of
copy
them hit
Discord.
multiple three-pointers.
We need to hop on Roblox or some
And
shit in a bit.
Sabonis
I'm
was
gonna do a
breaking
Central
the
C
mold,
album
hitting
reaction.
a whopping
The
39
Nike
threes
Tech,
throughout the entire
dude.
season.
You know, I
More
had
than
to
every
I
other
had to put it on for the
7-footer
reaction.
combined. But the league has changed a lot since 1996.
Yep.
Sabonis' historic shooting season
yep.
getting buried over the course of 3 decades of basketball evolution, with players like
On the
Dirk
Bears,
Nowitzki,
on the
Brooke
Bears.
Lopez, and Karl Anthony Towns redefining what it means to be a shooting big. The ability to shoot the long ball transforming from essentially a cool gimmick for big men to almost a necessity in today's league. But it was Lauri Markkanen back in 2023 who set a new benchmark for just how lethal a big man can be from outside, sinking 200 three-pointers in a single season. By far the most of any 7-footer in NBA history. At least it will be until the end of this season, because Victor Wembanyama is on pace to do this. 240 three-pointers in a single season. A mark that completely laps even the greatest big men shooters of all time. But Victor isn't just a 7-footer. He's
Little
one of the
O-dropping,
tallest
yeah, I see
players
that
in
too.
the history of the league.
I'm probably gonna have to
If
react
we
to that
limit
too.
the players on this graph to those at least as tall as Wemby, well, yeah. Victor Wembanyama is an aberration, a basketball singularity, because he's doing this while also being the best
so this whole
defensive
video is
player
about
on
Wemby,
the
bro.
planet.
This whole video about Wemby, I'm about to have a good time. It's gonna be a glaze off for me.
A mark that completely
This gonna be a
laps
glaze off
even
for
the
me.
greatest big men shooters.
Wait, how much is Markkanen?
100 three-pointers in a
said
single
200?
season. By
Oh,
far
this
the
season.
most of any 7-footer in NBA history. At least it will be until the end of this season, because Victor Wembanyama is on pace to do this. 240 three-pointers
Projected.
in a single season. A mark that completely laps even the greatest big men shooters of all time. But Victor isn't just a 7-footer. He's one of the tallest players in the history of the league. If we limit the players on this graph to those at least as tall as Wemby, well,
Crazy.
yeah. Victor Wembanyama is an aberration, a basketball singularity, because he's doing this while also being the best defensive player on the planet. And yet, it's still not enough. Fans criticizing the big man, saying that his game is too soft and that his skill set doesn't match his size. Playing 25 feet away from the basket, almost in defiance of his size and physical advantage. Why is he all the way out there? The jaw-dropping displays of skills far too refined for a player his size are cool and all, but why don't you try posting somebody up for a change? Wemby is already a generational talent, the potential to be one of the greatest of all time. But what's all that potential if you refuse to use it? Is Wemby's game falling victim to a league that has become infatuated with guard skills and the long
Shit,
ball?
I don't care. I
Or is
enjoy
he
seeing
on the
that
brink
shit, bro.
of completely altering the entire landscape of basketball and how the game is played.
Like, bro, you gonna tell me you see a 7'5" big man cross somebody up and shoot a fucking step back 3, bro? You not gonna be entertained. I'd rather see that shit than watch the same big man dunk. Like, I don't care, bro. That's why I don't enjoy watching Giannis, bro. This is run and dunk.
Today's video is sponsored by Factor 75. Factor is a gourmet meal kit service that makes hitting your nutritional goals
bro, we not
easier
listening
than
to
ever.
that.
Step after and tell her to get 5th shipping. First box.
Wembanyama. Now Jokic switches back on him.
Like, come on, bro. Bro, that's the MVP of the league. He just did that shit too. Like, come on, bro. You see what? That's come on, bro.
There was a point in time, not very long ago, where if you told NBA fans there would be a 7'4" giant doing bag work and hitting crossover threes from 25 feet out, no one would believe you.
That's what I'm saying,
here we are.
bro.
Victor Wembanyama is really good, and everyone knows it. But no one, even generational talents like Wemby, are supposed to be this good this early.
That's what I'm
because
saying,
even compared to the
bro.
greatest players of our lifetime, Wemby is on an early trajectory that we have never seen. Through 100 career games, more points than the all-time scoring leader, more blocks than the all-time blocks leader, and more threes than the all-time threes leader. It's like the basketball gods wanted to play a sick game by creating an unfair player who can just do everything all at the same time.
Bro.
And
This
once
is
you
literally a
compare
2K my
Wemby's
player, bro.
impact to other players in just their second season, the gap he has on everyone is almost unbelievable. Here are some of the greatest players
That's
of the
like,
last
bro, this
2
is actually
decades and the
inspirational,
progression
bro.
through their
No
first
troll
2
shit.
seasons according to estimated
Like a lot of
plus
dick ride,
minus.
but
Now,
no
a
troll
negative
shit, bro.
one
This shit is
about league
inspirational.
average. So even players who got off to a relatively slow start, like Giannis, Shea, and Westbrook, were still on a positive trajectory early in their careers. Now, an EPM of 3.5 is about an All-NBA caliber season. So players
KD
like
at?
LeBron,
What's he at,
AD,
0.6?
Luka, and Jokic were already stars in just their second
Oh,
season
plus
in the league.
minus. Okay, okay.
And then there's Wemby, who isn't just a superstar, but an MVP candidate in just his second season. These are the best players across multiple generations of NBA basketball, and Victor Wembanyama is outpacing all of them by a long shot, already producing at a level that even the best players don't reach until their 4th or 5th season. Right now, Victor isn't competing to be the best young player in the league. He's quickly approaching the best players in the world. According to most advanced metrics, so far this season, Victor has been statistically a top 5 player in the NBA. Estimated plus minus, for example, has Wemby as the 3rd most impactful player in the league this season, only behind Jokic and SGA.
That's insane,
now, Luka and
bro.
Giannis are 2
On a
of the
shitty
top
ass team
players
too,
of
bro.
their entire generation in
On a
their
shitty
prime,
ass
and
team.
Wemby is already impacting games at their level in just his second season.
Yes, that's my new
We
fave.
knew Wemby was going to be good if he could stay healthy and on the court. We knew he could be a defensive superstar
Him and Anthony
just
Edwards,
off of
bro.
his physical tools alone. But no one on
Best young
God's
players right
green
now.
earth knew this was a possibility. Because, quite frankly, it probably shouldn't be. Here is every single player in the NBA who has attempted at least 200 shots this season, mapped out according to their
Believe
average
that.
shot distance on the x-axis and their height on the y-axis. And as you would expect, there's a clear correlation between how big players are and how close to the hoop they tend to operate. Big guys usually play near the rim, like Gobert and Gafford, who live right underneath it. The further out you go, the less height grants an advantage, and so typically you'll find the smaller players outside, like Steph Curry and Peyton Pritchard. Of course, there are outliers. TJ McConnell is just 6'1", and yet his average shot distance resembles that of a power forward.
Damn.
Lauri Markkanen and Brook Lopez are 7-footers, but you wouldn't know it based off the fact that the average of all of their shots is near the three-point line. Where is Wemby in all of this? Well, he's right here, about a mile away from where you would expect the tallest player in the NBA to be, with shots that mirror a shooting guard. So far this season, Wemby's average shot is further out than some of the most prolific
That's
perimeter players like
crazy.
Harden and Luka. Anthony Edwards has attempted the most threes in the NBA this season, and even he is shooting closer to the basket than Wemby is. Karl Anthony Towns is in conversations as the best
Greatest
long-range
big man
shooting
shooter,
big
yeah.
ever, and Wemby is far closer to Steph than he is to Kat. It is mind-boggling. And yet, as incredible as this is, there's an equal amount of concern for the future of Wemby's career and the consequences of this playstyle. Victor is a part of a generation of players who are inheriting a league that has been taken over by outside play and homogeneous guard-like skill sets. We're watching this kid shatter records and bend the game in ways that we never thought were possible, and yet, for some fans, his game isn't what it should be. Victor isn't just the tallest player in the league. He's one of the tallest human beings on Earth. As cool as it is to see him hit step-back threes and do his best impression of a combo guard, it feels almost criminal that he isn't taking advantage of all of that size near the rim. A 7'4" giant with an 8-foot wingspan and the potential to be
like the
unstoppable
play style
near
he
the
has right
rim,
now, though,
shooting
would
just
stop him from getting
20%
injured
of his
as much.
shots within 3 feet and 50% of his shots from beyond the arc. As one fan put it, Wemby took the KD route instead of the Hakeem route. The league should be elated. Now, getting compared to Kevin Durant isn't quite the worst thing in the world,
Inspirational.
but considering who we're dealing with, it doesn't feel right for Wemby to be relegated to a hyper-lengthy, long-range bucket getter. In a league that continues to move further away from the basket, if there's one player we had hopes wouldn't lean into this new age of basketball, it was Wemby. But this assessment is all wrong. Wemby hasn't taken the KD route, and he hasn't taken the Hakeem route either. He's doing both at the same time. Victor is already regarded by many as the best defensive player in the league, a title that takes even the greatest defensive anchors years into their career to achieve. But that was the scouting report on Victor coming into the league, an era-defining defensive talent. The other stuff, competing, three-level scoring, and the potential to develop his offensive skill set was all there, but only in flashes. The question being,
Bro, has
not
anybody
if,
ever blocked
but
his
when
like
he could
actual
elevate
jump
to
shot?
a truly elite offensive talent. Of all the timelines people had in mind, I'm not sure if anyone considered the possibility that he would check off those boxes just a season and a half into his NBA career. For some perspective, here are some of the greatest scorers in NBA history on a scale of points per possession. And here are the best defensive players in league history on a scale of defensive box plus minus. Now, being ultra elite on both sides of the ball is about the rarest thing in all of basketball, which is why on the scoring side, those defensive superstars fall here. And on the defensive side, those offensive
Dick suck
superstars
crazy.
fall here.
Bitch, that's not dick suck. The fuck? Bro, that, like, look at the numbers. Look at the stats, bro. Look at the numbers. Look at the stats. Like, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, bro. Watch. I promise you Wemby gonna be out, like, somewhere out here, bro. I'm just saying.
It's like some sort of intangible law of the game that keeps it balanced. Ben Wallace and Draymond Green could go toe-to-toe with just about anyone on defense, but Lord help us if they need to get a bucket. On the other hand, Iverson and Steph can score at will, but don't ask them to go down the other end and get you a
Facts,
stop.
facts,
But there
facts.
have been a handful of truly great two-way players, like Duncan, Hakeem, Kawhi, David Robinson, Giannis, and Michael Jordan. Oh, and of course, the giant freak of nature 21-year-old alien, who is
What'd I tell you, bitch? What did I tell you, bro? Oh my god. He's at the top of the defensive and in the top 5 for the off, bro. Come on. Better than Braun, bro. Better than Braun. Like, come on, bro. You can't make this shit up.
Two-way weapon the game has ever seen.
Ever.
But this is a 21-year-old Wemby. Compare him to these superstars in just their second season, and you're looking at a player who looks like a work of fiction. So, remind me again what exactly the problem is with Wemby's
Telling
game.
you, bro.
Earlier this season, Victor was facing criticism for some of his performances. Why would you ever be standing 25 feet from the basket throwing up bricks when you have the physical tools to drop the ball in the hoop without even jumping? As the season has progressed, so has Wemby's performances, and turns out watching a walking giant do this is actually really entertaining. But the initial criticism Wemby received from fans is a testament to just how far-fetched and rebellious his game is, and how fans of the NBA are reluctant to change until the change works. When Dirk Nowitzki first entered the league, and even during his rise to superstardom, he was often criticized for being soft, and that in a time of true dominant big men, he wasn't one of them. Part of this was the stigma around European players at the time, but a large factor was his play style. The concept of a 7-footer handling the ball, facing up, and living off of 15-foot fadeaways was just too odd for some fans to accept. Now
changed the
looking
game,
back,
though.
Dirk Nowitzki was nothing short of an incredible innovator, ahead of his time. And the criticism, although some of it fair, was for the most part just a symptom of fans reluctant to accept something new and different. Kevin Durant is on record saying he deliberately...
Look at Kevin Durant, bro. Look at Kevin Durant.
He understated his height early on in his career because he knew if his listed height started with a 7, he would be labeled as a post player regardless of his skill set. Sounds a bit crazy now, but with how people viewed the game 20 years ago, without this decision, we may have never got the chance to witness this player. Early in his career, Michael Jordan was told that ball-heavy guards do not win championships. The formula for winning was rooted in the big man, and history confirmed this theory. Around the same time, Magic and Isaiah Thomas were breaking the mold, winning titles and laying the framework for Michael to completely dismantle these previous outdated notions. And of course, no one believed three-pointers could be the key piece to winning a championship until the Warriors rewrote history books and forever changed basketball with the three-pointer. No one wants change until it works. The only problem is you will never know if it works or not until someone comes in and wipes away all doubt. Victor Wembanyama is in the process of doing just that. Recently, while on the Bill Simmons podcast, Kirk Goldsberry talked about how unpredictable the progression of basketball can be, and how the next phase of the NBA may be centered around the skilled big man.
The 2010s were about small ball. We're halfway through the 2020s here, Bill. And we might call it skill ball, I think, because even the big dudes like Jokic and Embiid and Wemby, like name a center from 2004 or 1994. Could they do anything that Jokic do? Maybe Rasheed Wallace. There were some guys that were super skilled that could shoot the ball and pass and dribble.
Well,
but
it's basically Rasheed. Rasheed was the guy everyone pointed to and said, "Oh my God, this
We
guy
should
he
do
can
a
shoot from outside,
podcast,
he can
bro,
post
about
up," and
what?
we held him up to
What
this
would we do a
crazy
podcast about?
level, and he was like 16 points a game.
This generation does everything. Everybody does everything. Dribble, pass, and shoot. And skill has never been this high. And Wemby is giving us a very clear next up. Everything is clicking. You know, he was very hyped like LeBron coming in. But I think Victor Wembanyama is poised to be the next greatest player in the NBA at some point in the next 5 years.
Looking back at how basketball has
That's
changed
facts,
over
bro.
the years,
That's
it
facts.
only makes
Podcast
sense
will go
that
crazy,
towering
bro. We would need
players
something
with
to actually
versatile
talk about. I
skill
hope you
sets
understand that.
would be the next step in the game's evolution, almost a direct counter to the small ball era that preceded it. And Victor is well aware of this. As he put it, the
This is an
best way
inspirational
for me
video,
to help
bro.
is to not put me in a box. We know we are going to make something original, something special. Coaches and staff within the Spurs organization encouraging Victor's departure from positional norms, knowing that allowing him to play his game won't stunt his potential, it will help him reach it. It doesn't make sense that Wemby can drill 30-footers, or get into his bag, or tell his guards to come set screens for him. We like our bigs to play big. I mean, usually we like our bigs to play big. Wait, hold on, that was actually kind of sick. Okay, well, height is just a number, but you gotta take advantage of it. We've heard it all before. Declarations that all made sense until the next evolution of basketball was staring
Look at
it
his
in the face.
silhouette too,
Any
bro.
attempt
Like,
to
that shit
define
is so
Wemby's
tough.
game or compare him to another player, past or present, will leave you empty-handed. He and his skill set do not compute. They are illogical. He isn't just really good, he is really good in a whole new way. We are witnessing the future of basketball. And if you didn't like the idea of a guard anchoring your team, if you didn't like the idea of 7-footers popping out and taking long jumpers, and if you didn't like the three-point revolution, then you sure aren't gonna like what this guy ends up doing.
Inspirational video, bro. Oh my God, bro. Wemby is literally going to be the best player of all time, and that's facts. That's just facts, bro. He's in year 2 leading like MVP votes, like top 5 type shit. All-star votes, all that, bro. Leading with most points, blocks, stuff, bro. Like I just can't. Inspirational, man.